This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Welcome to another Pirkei Avot show. Today we are doing chapter 5, Mishnah 13, and we are dedicating this episode in memory of Levy ben Moshe Esther and Levy, and also in memory of Shlomo ben Moshe Esther. And over to Michael.
Thanks, Father Mashiach. So in this Mishnah we are taught about 4 attitudes of relationship amongst men, amongst people, and he's let's delve into this Mishnah. So Arba Midot Ba'adam. There are 4 attitudes of relationship amongst men. Ha'omer sheli sheli v'shelacha shelach. He who says mine is mine and yours is yours. Zomida benonit. This is a medium or in between attitude. V'yeshomrim zo midas Sodom. And of this, some say it is the attitude of Sodom. Sheli, shelach, v'shelacha, sheli, ama'aretz. The attitude of mine is yours and yours is mine is the attitude of an ama'aretz or an ignoramus. Sheli, shelacha, v'shelacha, shelach. Mine is yours and yours is yours. He is pious, a chosid. Shelacha sheli v'sheli sheli, rasha. And one who says yours is mine and mine is mine, he is considered wicked. So there are 4 attitudes here of there are 4 attitudes of people and their relationship to other people's possessions and other things as well. So let's look at each attitude. Let's look first of all with the first one. Mine is mine and yours is yours. The Mishnah relates it as being a medium attitude, which is almost also surprisingly compared to an attitude of Sodom. But we were always taught, especially in Hilchot Deot, that the medium attitude is the best. So this derech hayeshoa or benonius, this in-between way is the best way. But it seems here that there are some drawbacks to this mine is mine and yours is yours. So, and even more so that it's compared to something like an attitude of Sodom, which we know is not the greatest examples of community that we could find.
To say the least.
To say the least. So, why would it say... well, first of all, let's look at this medium attitude. We know that in ethics and temperament and personal conduct, Rambam referred to this concept of advocating the golden mean, which is finding that middle way that is the in-between both extremes, which is the correct way, the derech hayeshoa, as he quotes in his Hilchot Deot, where a way of virtue is the right measure and vice is an extreme or excess or deficiencies. Therefore, amongst the attitude of our Mishnah, we might reject the 4th of these attitudes as obviously clearly wicked, like mine is yours and yours is yours. We might choose as the best this balanced and reasonable, what is mine and yours is yours. This is according to Rambam, we could assume that. But why does this reference to no, this is the attitude of Sodom? Well, if as a community, people were to have this mine is mine and yours is yours rule, it is likely to make people neglect the care of others, and it will result in the way of Sodom. And what was the way of Sodom? We learned this in Baba Kama 20 Yom Base, and I quote, "It is forbidden on pain of death to feed the needy or passing stranger." So this is what it means. Perhaps on an individual basis, mine is mine and yours is yours. It may have some credence and some value, but when you take it as community-wide, if everybody was to say, you know what's mine's mine, yours is yours, get off my property, don't have anything to do with me, I don't want anything to do with you, I've got what I've got, you've got what you've got, it'll promote a feeling of separation.
It's like, there's that famous parable Because you think, well, look, we're not interfering with each other. We'll live together in peace. It sounds like a very good idea, but really, it's not the case, because the parable was said that there was a boat which was sailing, and it was full, and one of the passengers in the middle of the journey took out a hand drill and he started drilling a hole in the floor. Yeah, and everyone saying to him, "What are you doing?" He says, "What do you care? I paid for this cabin." But they're saying, "No, you did pay for the cabin.
We're all in the same boat."
Well, literally, we're all in the same boat. Right. So that's the same thing here. If you're saying, "No, you keep it to yourself. I'll do whatever evil I want to do. I'm not going to ask you to share in my evil. You do your good. Do what you want." But the problem is without realizing it, maybe you're affecting your neighbor, because you doing what you're doing and not letting him maybe either influence you for the good, or letting you be in then the person promoting the evil be influenced by other people. It's going to promote like a stale attitude, which will only get worse and
selfish,
worse, selfish and stale. But it means nobody will have any interaction with the other. Not that you want to go and have interaction, but you want to be
available.
Yes, because they'll be exposed, and then you can have a chance of helping them. So that's why it's not a magnanimous gesture to say, "Look, I've got, I won't. Don't worry, keep your lifestyle. I'll keep mine." It's not. It's a case of, I now am sticking to my guns, and I will never let anyone interfere with me, and never be challenged, and never have myself in a position where I can be influenced for the good. And that is a very, very evil attitude. No wonder it says maybe it's the midah of Yeshua
Sodom. Yeah, and another more simple example is, like, if I have something in my loft that is of no use to me, and you come along and ask if you can borrow it. If I say, "Look, what's mine is mine and yours is yours," you would personify the characteristic approach of Sodom, because I have no use for what's in my loft. I'm not using it, but I'm depriving you of it. And there is a Talmudic principle, Zeh nehneh ve'zeh lo chaser. The one can benefit and the other suffers no loss. So if you're not going to suffer any loss by lending it out, lend it out. Don't be stubborn in your possessions. As King Solomon teaches, and I quote, "A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men." This we learn in Proverbs 18:16. So when you give, it broadens the heart and your perspective on life. It leads you to a fuller, richer life of sharing with others and appreciating them. If you spend your whole life in bookkeeping and filing everything strictly as mine or yours, you become rigid in pettiness, and soon you will develop arthritis of the spirit. And let's look at the next concept. This is the Am Haaretz, the one who says, "Mine is yours and yours is mine." There are two aspects to this. The first one I'd like to explore is this is like a communist or highly socialist attitude.
I was thinking that myself, actually.
Yeah, that shows a complete ignorance about human nature. The communists were not the first to formulate this attitude or live by it. Many cultures in history have lived by these socialist utopias, and they've all failed. So behind the failure of these societies, the Meiri, I quote the Meiri on this concept. So consider the person who would live by this "mine is yours and yours is mine" attitude. He says, this man is deficient in character. While not so wicked as to rob and pillage, he is yet defective enough in character to covet the wealth of others, believing in his heart that the next person's wealth is more than his, so that he yearns, seeks, strives for ways of exchanging his property with the others. How many can you find with this affliction, mortally stricken with it? You can barely find two brothers or partners who, having divided up property by lot, should not each envy the other his share and seek in his heart a way to exchange with the other. That's a quote from the Meiri. A wonderful, good analysis there of this too communist attitude to living life, an unreasonable approach, like an exchange policy that has contradictory elements. The Hasidic Rabbi of Gur, whose teachings are recorded in the work Sfat Emes, makes also another observation. The peculiar thing about the Am Haaretz in our Mishnah is that he begins like the Chassid, who the Chassid is what's mine is yours, which is the third concept, but we are disappointed by the continuation, but what's yours is mine. So he concludes a rather good philosophy in the beginning with the wicked person's conclusion to the philosophy. So this is the characteristic of an Am Haaretz, which is good and evil mixed up in unholy hodgepodge. So there's also one more thing to say about this. There's an observation by the Meiri, and it's quite interesting. It casts another light upon this Mishnah. So it was noticed earlier that the first attitude in the Mishnah, mine is mine and yours is yours, is a characteristic policy of Sodom. Because it spreads too far and is applied too far, it will strangle human sharing and charity. It's not unjust then to scorn out of hand the opposite attitude, mine is yours and yours is mine, as the way of the ignoramus. After all, it means sharing and giving. The Meiri makes the first comment on this, Am Haaretz, as not a derogatory sense, but literally as folk of the land, like country folk farmers would perhaps do better if their philosophy was what's mine is yours and yours is mine, because people have to get on in the countryside. They help by perhaps sharing plows and things like that, pooling their resources. It actually could be beneficial. So the Meiri would suggest that these Am Haaretz, or the folk of the land, are people of good character who would further the welfare and progress of the land and strengthen its economy. Towards such goals, he notes, people can get nowhere without such an attitude, for all must cooperate in mutual help to achieve anything. So we see today how a policy of mine is yours and yours is mine can bring reciprocal trade agreements and good neighbor policies. So our Mishnah could well mean to endorse this approach as indispensable in proper degree and in the right places for the world's progress. So something to think about, this concept of the Am Haaretz, and mine is yours and yours is mine. Let's move on to the Chassid. The Chassid who says mine is yours and yours is yours. We have learned that the Chassid is a man of faith who does not stand on the letter of the law and does more that is required of him. This does not mean that he's a complete fool and will give his wallet to the first person he meets. It means essentially that if a dispute arises in which the lines of demarcation between mine and yours are not clear, the chassid is willing to yield, to give up what might really be his, rather than fight to the end.
I think that's called Lifnim Mishur Sadin.
Yes.
To go beyond. Yeah.
Sorry. And with a firm faith in the world of Hashem that will ultimately prevail, the chassid does not expect to be paid or rewarded for every mitzvah or favor he does. He will freely lend things for which he has no strong or immediate need. He will run errands for others and do 1,001 favors for everybody, and we will not record what he has done for other people. So let's look at the concept of the wicked man. He says, what is yours is mine, and what is mine is mine. This is a sort of wolf-like person who is out for blood Everything he does is perceived as an important move in a fateful contest in which he is determined to win, to gain an advantage, to see what he can take from you. This man is a rasha, and he is genuinely wicked. He violates the spirit of the letter of the law. So we look at the last of the 10 commandments. It reads, "You shall not covet your neighbour's house. You shall not covet your neighbour's wife, or his manservant, or his maidservant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbour's." This we learn in Shemot 20:14. Of this, Rav Avraham ibn Ezra comments, and I quote, "Many will wonder about this commandment. How can a man not long in his heart for something attractive that seems so desirable to him? The other 9 commandments involve action of some sort. By coveting, wanting, is a desire, it's an emotion. How can the Torah enjoin me to control my emotions? How can I suppress my natural desires?" So Ibn Ezra continues, "In answer, I will give you a parable. A peasant of sound mind who sees a beautiful princess will not yearn in his heart to be intimate with her, for he knows that such a thing can never be. And we cannot rank this peasant amongst the insane, that he might suddenly long for wings to fly skywards. So too will a man generally not desire a close relative for a mate, though she may be beautiful, for since childhood he has been reared to reckon her forbidden to him. Even so should every man of intelligence that know that neither wisdom or knowledge will bring a person or a beautiful woman or wealth. They will become his only if HaKadosh Baruch Hu has so ordained. Hence, the intelligent person will not wish or court another's wife, knowing that the Blessed One has forbidden her to him, and he will consider her more inaccessible than is a princess to a peasant." So, wise words from the great Rav Avraham ibn Ezra. And basically, to conclude, you can divide people into 2 groups, givers and takers. The giver will always give. He feels that the world owes him nothing. The taker will always take. If you do him 1,000 favours, he will accept them as a matter of course. As he sees it, your time, your friends, your range of influence exists only to serve him. Yet he will never think of doing anything for you. He owes you nothing. His creed is, yours is mine, but mine is mine too. A taker is not a giver. Finally, if we have a choice, let us join the givers and not the takers. With a good attitude, let us learn to say with the Chassid, mine is yours and yours is yours, and the world will be better for it.
Fantastic, very good, wow. Very powerful Mishnah there. Really something that applies to everyone. Okay, so next time we convene Bezrat Hashem, we'll be doing Mishnah 15. That's
14.
14. Sorry, that's the 4 types of temperament. Yes, yeah. Of course. So with that, we wish you a wonderful and blessed week.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.